Hey guys, welcome back. Episode 6. Last time we talked about moving away from the shoulder, coming down into the lower back. Thanks for the feedback, guys. Great to hear that it's helping so many of you with your niggly backs. We're going to continue this theme now, and we're going to continue the path from the lower back down into the lateral hip and buttock. This is very much in relation to this part of you because of the fascial tissue connections here. So we're going to spend some time taking the next step down to this part of you, because we're finding that some of our guys just needing that progression down through the lateral border. So for this purpose, we are going to need a hockey ball in the first instance, and then just a floor mat to do the second component of this drill. Now, what we're talking about with this exercise is we're going to be using the ball against the wall shortly, and we are going to be starting off level with the bony bit on the outside of your hip. This bit that you can feel, which feels very bony near the skin surface. The movement when I'm against the wall, just so you can see it more clearly, is going to be almost like a horseshoe shape around that bony point. So you're going to find the bony point on the outside of your hip, and then when I'm doing the wall technique, I'm going to be going around that point, working through some of these deep connections from your bottom into that bone, and the big strong fascial tissue which comes in and connects onto that spot. So we're going to mobilize this tissue because it gets very stuck down and very restricted. So technique number 1 is with the ball. So what I'm going to get you to do, guys, I'm going to get you to find a bit of wall space. You're going to start off nice and square to the wall, and I'm going to put this, bend my knees first a little, and I put the ball alongside my bone on my hip, into that bony lump exactly. Keeping my hand on the ball so I don't lose connection with that for a moment, I'm going to turn my body away from that ball, okay? I'm going to turn on a 45-degree angle now, so my chest is facing away from the wall. Now in this position, I've dropped just behind that bony bit on the outside of my hip, and already it feels a little bit uncomfortable there, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bend my knees so the ball comes up, and then I'm going to come around to the front by turning back towards the wall, and then I go away, I stand up fully, and then I come back towards the wall again. So what I get is this motion where I'm almost having that horseshoe effect around that bony nodule. If I find any particular spots of discomfort, that's one for me. I'm going to use the outside leg and push in against that spot and stay there. I'm going to wait for the pressure to subside, and then I'm going to find another one and move again. And literally we are just mobilizing this soft tissue on the outside part of the hip, on this outside part. Quite uncomfortable, but you're going to start with this one. It's a really nice way of getting this warmed up. The second part is we are going to then use this extra bit of mobility we've created, or a bit of movement we've created through the soft tissue, in a way which loads through the back of the hip. So for this one, you're going to need a floor mat. So I'm going to come down onto the floor, and I'm going to get myself onto all fours. Keep it onto all fours. Now, in this position, my hands are under my shoulders and my knees are under my hips. I'm going to take my knees off the floor, and I'm going to cross over my left leg, and then put it back down again on the floor in front of me. Now, in this position, you'll see that what I've done is I've kept my toes on the floor here. I've kept my toes on the floor. This is crucial so that I can push forward with my right leg and pivot over my toes to add difficulty and sensitivity into the stretch. From this position, I am maintaining compression through my femur into the back of my hip. So I'm keeping quite centrally positioned over my kneecap. So it's quite a direct line of force into the back of my hip. Now, from here, I'm ready to go, okay? So from this position, what I'm going to do next is, I am going to be taking my hip on a 45-degree angle out to the side in this direction. So, I get myself set up, I push out to the side and back on that 45-degree angle. I am also keeping the weight through my femur directly through my knee into the floor. And I'm letting that pressure push into the back of my hip. And then I come back out I square myself back up, and then I go back out again on that 45-degree angle. And I'm going to hang out in that spot, using my other leg to sensitize a little bit more if I need to. And then I'm going to come back out and rest. And then I'm going to relax my leg and come back up. Now, pretty uncomfortable, guys. If you get the right spot here, you're going to feel this more towards the outside edge of your hip, right where the capsule, the back part of your hip attaches. It's quite thick, quite a big, strong area, so you may have to sustain that stretch for a long time. I only did that for a few seconds to show you, but I'd probably be expecting you to hang out in that corner of discomfort for upwards of a minute, okay? It can be that long. Then what you're going to find is you're going to increase your ability to open up to the outside part of this hip, which has a big knock-on effect with hip mobility into flexion and into the posterior part of your hip aspect. So we are going to continue from lats down to thoracolumbar fascia from last week, and now we're going to extend into bottom before we start getting into thigh and down into hamstring and leg. Have a go, guys, as usual. Keep us posted on your comments and let us know. Thanks.